Hello, my name is Helen, and I am a mother of a victim of sexual abuse by two brothers of the Catholic clergy. This also makes me and my husband and daughter victims as well. By this I mean for 38 years, we as a family couldn't understand our loved one, our son, who acted the way that he has. I would like to share some of the things that our family has endured with our son. When I got married 48 years ago, I agreed to raise my children in the Catholic faith and support the Catholic Church. When our son was old enough to make his first communion, he also became an altar server. This was very pleasing to my husband because he also was an altar server for many years as a young boy. As time went by, we noticed our son was reluctant to take part in things of the church. He didn't want his picture taken, he didn't want to serve Mass, he didn't want to go to church. We felt it was our duty to make him attend the church. As he got older, he also had trouble sleeping. He would scream out in his sleep and walk in his sleep, and he became very abusive towards his sister. We felt something was wrong, but we never could understand the problem. Our family doctor suggested that we take him to the Cleveland Clinic. At the Cleveland Clinic, they ran all kinds of tests on him and came up with nothing. They knew something was causing these problems, and they put him on a drug called phenobarbital to help him sleep and settle him down. This happened around the time he was 9 years old. As time passed, things didn't get much better. As a teenager, he was taking drugs and drinking alcohol. One time he stole a car and ran away from home. He was caught and put in jail in North Carolina. We had to drive to North Carolina to get a lawyer to get him out of jail. This cost us much money that we really didn't have. When he was 16, we bought him a car for his birthday. I guess we were hoping this would make him happy and help him. He got drunk that night and totaled the car. He was going at a speed of 95 miles an hour. He survived without a scratch. In 1987, he decided to get married. We hoped this would be a good thing for him. The girl that he married was also on drugs, and of course this marriage didn't last very long. They had to live with us for a while, and that was really bad. After his divorce, he got a job at a local factory. He left drugs alone long enough to pass the drug test. Then he bought a house. He decided to marry again, and this lady that he married was on drugs also, so that didn't last very long either. After the divorce, he sold his house and moved in with us. He couldn't get a job, so he used his money to rent an apartment, and in a year's time he was broke. He had squandered $35,000 that he had made on the sale of his house. He took a number of small jobs that paid very little, but quit or was let go from those. In February of 2004, he called me and threatened to kill me and my husband. We didn't know if he had lost his mind or he was so drugged up that he didn't know what he was doing. Since we knew he had a gun, we had no choice but to have him arrested. At that time, we learned what had happened when he was 9 years old. He had been molested by two brothers of the Catholic Church. We were devastated. Never in our dreams did we think that he had been molested. And then things all started to add up. We remembered the things that happened that day, and we knew that he was telling the truth. We feel all the drinking and the drugging due in his youth was his attempt to medicate himself so that he could not remember the molesting. We immediately called our parish priest and told him, and in return he notified the bishop of the diocese, which is Steubenville. The bishop wanted to meet our son. At first, our son didn't want anything to do with him because he didn't trust him. However, we did set up a meeting on May the 4th in 2004 to meet with the bishop. The bishop said that he was too busy to keep the appointment, and he appointed Monsignor Chemo to do the dirty work for him. When my husband and son met with Monsignor Chemo, he was in agreement to get counseling for him. A few weeks later, we were contacted by a lady named Angela Miracle. She told me on the phone that she was working for the diocese and that she wanted to set up an appointment for us to see a counselor and to evaluate us. My son met with a counselor for 3 meetings, and then I met with a counselor. The counselor told me that after the first meeting with my son, that she noticed a big difference in him from one meeting to the next, and that was only 2 days apart. I told her that if she saw a change in 2 days, at the second counseling session, did she understand that he was stoned? She said she didn't know that. She told me that he had signed a paper so that she could tell me what was going on in her meeting with him. In the next meeting with me, she told me her evaluation. She thought he was very difficult case for her, and it was best for him to be admitted to a rehabilitation center in South Carolina. She asked me if I had agreed to this, and I said yes. He didn't have much of a choice. He was facing a jail sentence and a high fine for having a gun in his possessions, plus drugs and alcohol charge. The counselor sent a letter to the diocese in Steubenville. The bishop said they couldn't afford to pay out that kind of money for therapy. That is when my faithful Catholic husband became very angry. He knew then that the bishop was more interested in money than in our son's healing. That is when we made arrangements for therapy for our son. To date, our son was in therapy at the expense of us for 2 years. The Catholic institution should be held accountable for the priests and brothers and bishops and even the higher-ups who have committed these sex crimes against our children. That is why I'm telling my story, and perhaps it will be a deterrent for some who would be sex offenders. The Catholic institution needs to be held accountable for the crimes that they have done against our children. Thank you.